we're going to make focaccia.
Good. You want to read the focaccia recipe for us?
Sure. With focaccia, we start out with a bread dough. And this is going to be 2/3 cup of warm water, a tablespoon of sweetener. You can use honey or sugar or any type of favorite sweetener. 1 tablespoon of baking yeast, a cup of whole wheat flour, 1/3 cup of unbleached white flour, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and then 3/4 to 1 cup of whole wheat flour. That's for the bread dough. And then toppings for the focaccia, you can use, and this will be a combination of 1/4 to 1/3 of a cup. You might use sliced olives, raw or sauteed onion, tomatoes that have been sliced and seeded. You can use a non-dairy cheese, a sauce, or crumbled cheese. Okay, Jill, so in here what we're going to do is make a focaccia, which is like a bread dough that you've kneaded up, and you're going to roll it out and put toppings on. It's kind of like a pizza, but it's not, it's a little different.
Absolutely.
And so what we've done here is I've already made the dough, and the way I like to roll out dough, it's really easy, is that I use a wet hand towel, and I wipe the counter, and then I put a piece of plastic wrap down, and I put the dough on top of it, and then I cover the dough with plastic wrap.
Okay, and we've already done that, so.
And that's already done, and now we're just going to roll it out, and you're basically rolling this out to about the size of your slow cooker.
Okay.
And so what we're using today, this recipe is if you have like a 6 to 7 quart slow cooker. If you have a smaller cooker, like a 5 quart, I have a smaller recipe in my book. In fact, all of these recipes, they're based on larger amounts or smaller amounts.
Bless
your heart. So I have both ways.
You've done a lot of work in your cookbook for that. Absolutely.
It was a really neat adventure.
That's good.
And since I have an oval cooker, I'm rolling this out into an oval fashion.
Okay, that makes sense.
And so we'll just take the
we have
pot there.
This is oval. I can see that. Now this one, you've already sprayed.
Yep.
Why would you spray it?
I sprayed it with a nonstick spray just so that the dough will not stick.
Yes.
And it'll come up real easily that way.
Whoops, am I on you there?
So we just pick up our dough.
And you just put it in the bottom of the crock pot?
Just lay it in here.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah.
Boy, this is neat. I'm learning a lot.
Yeah, in fact, you can make bread. This makes the most delicious bread is what, if you have I have several different bread recipes, and you just make your dough like that ball that I had there originally.
Right.
You spray your pot, you put your ball of dough right in there, and then it's going to rise and bake all at the same time.
By itself?
Yeah. It only takes like 2 hours. 2 hours from start to finish.
Amazing.
I mean, that's faster than a bread machine.
You're right. You're right.
And it comes out moist, and yet a nice, firm crust to it.
Does it take the shape of the crock pot that you put it in?
Yeah. Okay. And it'll be it's kind of like a European loaf.
Yes.
Yeah, and so it looks really pretty.
Yes. Wow,
and
that's
so now
neat.
we've got our dough in there.
I'm going to try that. I'm excited about that.
And I'm just going to poke it a few times because we want this to stay level. We don't want it bumping, sometimes
it would overbubble one spot or another. Okay.
And so now you can experiment. You can use anything you want, any kind of toppings.
I like that.
I have some shredded cheese here that I'm going to sprinkle around in here. But you can use some cheese sauce. You can use spaghetti sauce. You can use, you don't have to use any kind of a sauce. You can just put vegetables on here.
Well, that's neat.
And I like to put some olives.
I like olives.
And what you'll find a lot of times is that your dough will kind of shrink back up some. And if that happens, don't worry about it, because as it expands, as it'll go back out to the sides.
So that's kind of normal. If you peek in there and say, "Whoops, it's shrinking," it's okay. It'll come back out.
When you put your dough first in there, if it kind of pulls back in some, then don't worry about it, because it'll go back out again. So then I like to sprinkle just for some color. Put some dried parsley on here. You can use onion powder, garlic powder. You can put any of your favorite seasonings on there. Maybe a little paprika for some color. Oh yeah, that gives nice reddish color. And that's all there is to it. That's easy. Yeah, it is. It's very easy. In fact, what I'll do a lot of times is I'll make my bread dough in the bread machine and then put it in here. But if you want to cheat,
I like that.
You can buy frozen bread dough.
Oh, true. You could.
Yeah. And what I found that for a big pot like this, for the 6 or 7 quart, if I use about 2/3 of it, in there, then it makes a really nice focaccia. Yeah.
So you put the lid on.
No.
You don't put the lid on.
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Nope.
Something different.
This is for if you're going to bake, like I have recipes for like date nut bars or brownies or the other different kinds of breads. What you want to do is you put a hand towel or a couple layers of paper towel.
Really?
And then you put your lid on, because if you don't,
what's the purpose of that?
There's going to be condensation. As something cooks, it condensation here, and then you're going to have drips down there, and so this way it catches all the water.
It would be kind of soggy too, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Boy, that's
this works perfect.
Just like if you bake your bread in your bread pans and you take it out, I mean, you don't want to leave it in the bread pans cooling because it'll get soggy.
Moistness.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow. So how long would you cook it for?
So this takes, in an extra fast pot, it takes about an hour and a half to an hour and 3/4.
It's pretty easy.
The longest one if you have an average cooker, then it's going to be probably closer to 2 1/4 to 2.5 hours.
Okay.
But what I found is that most of these big pots, the 6 and 7 quarts, most of them, and I have several.
Yeah, 25.
They tend to be extra fast.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So it's more likely going to take about an hour and a half to an hour and 3/4.
So it's the smaller ones, because mine isn't real little, but it's smaller, and I think it's an average one probably.
Yeah.
It takes
smaller ones tend to be average or fast.
Right.
But it's a good idea to check it with the beans to make sure, especially if you're going to be gone. You really want to check it.
You don't want to
so
burn
that you
Now you have a cute little one I want to show our friends. This guy's cute.
Yeah, a lot of people have these little 1.5 quart pots.
Okay.
They don't even have a dial on them for temperature. But these are wonderful. You can make a half a pound of beans in these.
Oh, good.
You can cook most anything that you would do in a bigger pot. You can use in these small ones, and it's going to come out just fine. I find that the temperature with these seems to be kind of right between a low and a high.
Right. Okay.
Because I have a few of those. And
it's like a medium.
Yeah.
Sort of. Right.
Yeah.
That's